I don't know how
no
we
air
all
conditioning
fit in that car because there were bucket seats in the front.
Yeah.
And there were all 6 of us.
So there were 4 of you in that back seat.
Yeah. And I'm sure Dad had to sit in the front, and then probably Mom and Kent exchanged. And Mom didn't drive, so Dad or Kent drove. And yeah, we got up to the farm. I remember Bruce and I got in trouble. You and Mom were visiting or something. We wouldn't leave you alone, so Dad took us out in the car and he drove us around. You know where that church is when you kind of southwest of Grandpa's farm in that curve?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that Lutheran church.
Lutheran church.
He drove us over there, and we thought we were going to get a spanking or something. And he drove us over there, and he's like, you know, your mother has been really nice to you on this trip, and you kids should, you know, mind her and be good. And we both looked at each other like, okay. And then we went back to the farm, and he was like being very reasonable with us, you know. But it worked because, you know, it had such an impact.
Oh, isn't that something?
Yeah. But we came and we must have stayed here at the house then.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, 69.
And I remember our cat and Barbara's cat, when we first got to the farm, hated each other. And by the end of the trip, they were kind of friends. And you took a picture. Barbara's cat was sleeping in the box, and our cat was looking over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dee Dee, I think it was. And
Dee Dee, but she didn't live that long. I think it was the orange cat.
Yeah, it was an orange cat.
Barbara's, Dee Dee was the cat that we brought from New Jersey.
Okay.
And the summer we went back, somebody from your place watched her for us.
Okay.
You know, we rented that place back.
Sure, yeah.
So somebody watched her, but
no. It was Scrapper.
Scrapper was Barbara's cat. She'd found this little cat in a haystack. She had a horse. And she was driving out in the country, and she saw this little cat, and it had been abandoned. So we let her keep it. And it because it hadn't had a mother when it was tiny, it wasn't very smart. But anyway.
I just want to make sure it's
still running?
Still going.
Oh.
Yeah. See, you don't even know it's...
No, you don't.
Until I have to look.
So anyway, that was Barbara. I'd forgotten that you had a cat.
Yep, I had a cat. I remember I had a little gold car. It was one of those Hot Wheels. And I lost it up in Emil's room. And we were getting ready to leave. And I was beside myself because I never did find that car.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder what could happen to it.
I don't know, but I looked on the internet now for those cars, and that stinking car's worth like $60.
Oh.
It was one of the rarer ones of the Hot Wheels.
How could that have... Because, and then when they tore the house down, before they tore it down, they took everything out inside. The floor from Phil and my bedroom is in the dining area over in the Lundy place.
Oh,
they
really?
remodeled, yeah.
I'll be darned.
They took a lot of the wood and put it in that house. They took a lot of stuff out, and then they tried to push it over, and it was so strong they couldn't, so they had to burn it.
Oh, man.
They pushed it in the hole and set it on fire.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Well, I wanted to buy that whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
So.
I know when it froze, it was icy, you were going to move the barn across over.
Yeah, I did get the barn. I was talking to Helmut, and that was long after the house had been gone. The schoolie house was there then.
Yeah.
And when we moved back to North Dakota, I had gone and talked to Schoolie, and he was so rude to me, and I didn't really understand why. And I got back to Billings, and he called me and he apologized. He said, you know, I have a lot of people that come out here, and he goes, but I can tell, at the time I didn't realize it, but I can realize that you are serious. And he goes, to be honest with you, we're done with it here, and we really do want to move. And so if you'd be interested, we would sell to you. But they wanted so stinking much money, they weren't really in the groove with the pricing at the time. And that's why we wound up with Erickson's. And then they did sell eventually for probably about what I would have paid for it to this other guy that's, I think, still there now.
Yeah.
Helverson, well, there was another
Helverson.
one in between. Remember Brown? He
Oh,
was,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think he just rented. I don't think he bought it.
No, Halverson bought it, and he came over one day and he goes, I know that barn means a lot to you, and he goes, I'm going to knock it down, but if you will take it, I'll give it to you. I think he sold it to me for $1 or something. And then I was going to wait for the ground to freeze. Marty and I had talked about this, and I was going to reinforce that barn and drag it across to mine. Because it was within sight distance of my farm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And put it up back there. There was a place where I could have it, because we had planned on building greenhouses out
I
there.
remember raising tomatoes and.
And then, you know, all these other things happened, and that didn't occur, and the barn eventually went away too. Yeah, I can remember as a kid a lot of times I took my children in the barn and showed them, so they got to see it.
We had cousins come from Norway, and their father had come to North Dakota and spent time with Grandpa Betwell.
Oh, okay.
Because he was their uncle. And so they came, and then we took them up to the farm, and the barn was still there, and they found something in the barn, and they thought, well, they wanted to have it because they knew that that had been there when their father had lived there. Pretty
Okay.
interesting.
I think that was in the Lundy barn.
No, it was in the barn at the farm.
There was a milking schedule in the barn at the farm, and I took that, and I still have that somewhere. It was tacked up to one of those, you know, that in the middle there was a kind of that kind of little walkway that you could get back behind, and right there where there was kind of some old tools and stuff, Grandpa had this milking schedule tacked up with all these different times and dates on it, and it had been there for years, but it was still in very good shape, so I took it down, and I don't know where it is, but I got it somewhere. Yeah.
Didn't even know it existed.
And I got a set of him and Lundy that had the farm before Erickson's, or Betwell, must have worked together, because you know the hooks that Grandpa made that were twisted, that were made out of square?
Yeah.
There were 2 of those on our farm when we bought it, on just about rotted outdoors, and I took them off. I still have those, and they're the exact same blacksmith hooks as what was on the shop. So I know that they were probably built by Betwell and then, or Grandpa.
You have the one from the shop, or the...
Isn't it on the wall
yeah,
out here?
It's that same exact
Yeah.
hook. I got 2 more of those.
Oh my goodness.
And Lawrence and I started taking, they had the inside of our barn there is all like sided or sheathed inside with boards from nail boxes from the Northern Pacific Railroad. They're all boards about 2 feet long, and they're tongue and groove boards.
No.
And we started peeling them off. We didn't know what they were, but then on the back side it says, you know, such and such size nails, and then for Lundy Farm, and back like 1906 or whatever. And we started peeling these boards off, and I still have a ton of them. I was going to panel the stairwell of my house in Cooperstown with them. Behind that, it was insulated with Norwegian newspapers.
Really?
The whole, large areas, and they were from like the 1890s, and they were still in pretty good shape. They're all crumpled up in balls. And so Lawrence and I started pulling and smoothing these out, and they're all written in Norwegian in this real fancy typeset.
Oh yeah.
But they're 100% Norwegian, except for that you can read the dates, you know, and the numbers, but the rest of it's all, who knows.
Martin Jensen could have read them for you,
Oh, okay.
but too late.
Yeah, too late for that.
Yeah. But you know, it's interesting, the Lundy people that had your farm were not related to the Lundys that we were related to.
Yeah, I've heard that, yeah. They were
Probably
different
came
group.
from the same place in Norway, but they were not related.
But he was a traveling preacher. And they must have all been preachers because Grandpa Josephson was a preacher too.
Yeah. But Betwell wasn't.
Betwell wasn't, but the Lundy that was on our farm, I believe, was the one that preached at the North Church for a while.
And then probably Ludwig was his son, maybe.
He was. Ludwig Lundy was his son because he's on the abstract for our farm. Mm-hmm. And up in the attic of our house, I found a box of old photo albums. And Ernest Erickson was an avid photographer, so he had pictures from Cooperstown from close to the time he passed away, all the way back. And then all these pictures from the Ericksons and back through the Lundys. And there were pictures of that Ludwig Lundy with a horse-drawn like carriage that had the big signs on it, Jesus Saves. Right out in front of the house there.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Right in the driveway where we park our cars. It was parked, you know, with it was like 4 horses to tow this traveling preacher wagon.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Ludwig was one of the pastors that conducted our confirmation.
Okay.
We had 4 because there were so many, over a period of time there were so many pastors. But the tabernacle is named for Ludwig. It's the Ludwig Lundy Tabernacle.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So he had a lot to do with that Bible camp, getting that going.
Yeah, I used to remember more of the history than I do now. I wonder what happened. I wonder if Mindy still has all those pictures. I know I gave a bunch of them to Doris, of her family. Because a lot of them were like her kids growing up there at the farm, and Lionel and the different kids.
Well, Sheridan, I think, is still in the area. But Doris, of course, died, and then her sister Helen died, and her sister Agnes died. I think Gordon might still be living, but he's got to be in his 90s. I don't know where he is.
Well, Lionel and his wife still live on, I believe, on the farm kitty corner to ours.
Oh, do they?
By Carmen.
Oh, that's Lionel.
Yeah, he's the one I bought the farm from.
Oh, I see.
And then his sister, the last I knew, was living over by Wallam.
Oh, she was married to that auctioneer, but they got divorced.
And yeah, that's true. She was closer to my age.
Yeah. I used to know them. And the other one was a good friend of Cindy Nassett's. It's funny how all these people connect.
Yeah. It is interesting.
Yeah.
So, well, that's probably all we should do tonight. Unless you have any other final thoughts?
No, I guess not.
Okay.